Hey guys, welcome back to another round of Romans podcast. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New
Happy
Year,
New
everyone.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
And Suman, welcome back again. Uh, obviously, it's a second podcast with us, but maybe a little quick intro. I know you run your own podcast and you're a pro now, so maybe a little intro about yourself and your podcast that you run.
Yeah, sure. Happy New Year, everyone. Great to be on the pod. This is my second one. Thanks for having me. So, based out of US, and of course, like any Indian cricket fan, and we started a podcast back in during COVID when there was nothing much to do. We are called What a Player. If you know Sachin Tendulkar and Tony Greig relationship, what a player, what a wonderful player. So that's what our podcast is called. We do it on and off, pre-match, post-match, and meet anybody who's associated with cricket and just learn about it. So it's just a very chill area to talk cricket and learn more about it. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. I love talking cricket. That's why, when Sagi said we are doing a pod, I was like, why not? Let's chat.
Absolutely, and Suman, appreciate your time. I'll probably share some of your socials and obviously, the link to your podcast with our viewers, and hopefully, that way you can get some traction as well. Anyway, let's get started, right? Obviously, 2 days in the Melbourne test. Hopefully, the emotions sort of sunk in a little bit, not at least for me. I was talking to someone yesterday. The first thing we chatted yesterday when we kind of connected last night was rather than wishing each other Happy New Year, I was just expressing how disappointed I was from the result and how gutted I was in terms of looking at how things unfolded. But yeah, so India obviously had an opportunity to bat on fifth day with the target of 330 shots, but unfortunately bundled out for 155 with the top scorer in the Jaiswal contributed with 83 something, and then we had a small contribution from Rishabh Pant 30. But really quickly focusing on day five, right? Good thing, first things first, Bumrah managed to get the five where he cleaned up a line first thing in the morning, and then India's batting approach. Punk, I'll probably lean towards you, right? I know you had a game plan in mind in terms of how the day should have unfolded. So your thoughts on how it unfolded?
Oh, well, it was a long day, basically, right? But the way Rohit started, right? And that's what the approach should have been. But then again, lapse of concentration and there was no way India was going to get those many runs in like 300 in those 90 92 overs. If you plus minus, it was like close to 92 overs, and scoring 340 on a fifth day pitch, and with a really batting lineup which hasn't fired. It's a bit difficult, and the way he started as well, it seemed that there was no way they would have got those. And then again, he plays that wrong shot. He was playing straight, which we had discussed about playing straight. Then he tries to flick or put the ball on the onside, and then goes to slip. And then comes Kale. So Kale, it was fine because that was a bit I'm like you cannot do. So it was nothing uh, say like which unexpected. It was a good ball. He went out to a good ball, right? So that's fine. But then Rohit and then Kohli, both of them, like they really needs to tighten. I think so. It's the end of. I don't see Rohit playing after this series. Kohli might continue because he's got a century in the series, right? And if he fires in Sydney, then there's a good chance he might play for a few more years. But I don't see Rohit going forward in terms of Test cricket. And he hasn't achieved much as well outside India, right? And the five Test matches we are going to have in England, so we will discuss about that as well. But let me focus on Kohli again. He goes fishing out just before lunch, uh, and out of I don't know how many seven, he's got seven times has got out for the same shot over and over playing. So what else you can say, right? And it's not that like he doesn't know about it. Definitely, all the coaches, everybody have told, and then he still does it. And this one, okay, it's Mitchell Stark, right? It was not like at James Anderson or Scott Boland, right? The where the ball is coming in and you tend to play for it. This was completely outside your outside the line of off stump length and line. He could have just left it. It was just before lunch. So I don't know what was going in his mind. Then comes Pant, right? Really pissed off. There was no way you're going to where they started, right? Brilliant the way he played. He was very calm, and the as a senior member of the team, you could see he was like Jaiswal was trying to go for shots, especially with Nathan Lyons. The ball was bouncing. He was going over to I've seen the match at least till late in the morning. Even after
Sure.
tea,
Yeah.
he went across to Jaiswal, and then he tells him like calm down, and he guides him. And then after tea, I don't know what went in his mind, why he played the shot. The instinct took over. And if somebody says a natural player is when you are there to go to win a match. This is a match which you need to draw. They did really well, and I think so. Pant, after setting in, knowing the wicket, giving away his wicket to like a part-time bowler, man, right? That was very embarrassing, frankly speaking. If it is a good ball, even from part-time bowler, you can get the ball can hit a crack and you can go out. It's fine. But to get out to a part-time bowler on a stupid ball, it's really embarrassing. And that's where everything changed. Jadeja got a good ball. Nitish got a really good ball, and then rest was history. After that you didn't have anything. You just had to survive for another 10, 15 overs, and you'd have the new ball coming in. And I didn't see Australia this thing. India lost this match rather than Australia won. The way India batsmen, at least the three batsmen who gave away the wickets, and they were the top three batsmen. Out of your top five, three of the batsmen gave away the wickets. So it is not like Australia won this match. It's India losing the match because of their approach and not trying to follow team thing. So bad for and all the hard work which the Indian bowlers had done, Bumrah and Siraj coming in second innings, all went to waste. So nothing much to talk about. We have just summed up the entire day. The batting was pathetic, to tell the least. Right, some good balls which you have in a test match, but the rest was just they threw over the wickets. In short,
Fair
that's what
assessment,
I can
right?
say of the fifth day.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, Saman, anything you would like to add? Your thoughts on day 5?
It was a fantastic test match, man. Day 5 during holiday season. This is typical Aussie win, right? You give them a sniff of chance and they will be all over you. We
Mhm.
lost 7 wickets in the last session, like Pankaj was mentioning. On day 4, when Boland and Lyon were going on playing, people questioned the Australia tactics, that why are they not declaring? But of course, they had the self-belief that they wanted to bat India out of the game. And after that, what stands out here is, I think, Australian capability of proactively thinking, right? They knew that there are 7 wickets to go in the last session. I think Jaiswal and Pant had dropped the anchor during lunch. We could see that, they were knocking in. But then Aussies have to try something out. Post-match, both Cummins and Head mentioned that, we were trying to give Rishabh Pant, you know, feelers, and
Mhm.
clearly he fell for it. So the mental strength of Aussies definitely stood out. And then Pat Cummins also mentioned, you saw when with Jaiswal, he went over the wicket, around the wicket, bouncers, slower balls. So I think it was Captain Cummins who did the trick for them. But from an India perspective, yeah, disappointing result. Clearly, we are not there from our capability to maintain match awareness. Yes, I was on the opposite side when Gavaskar was critical of Rishabh Pant in first innings, but in second innings, egg on my face, right? I think Pant did it for himself. So yeah, it's a disappointing result, but I think it was a fantastic test match in Melbourne, cricket crowd, and kudos to Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point, right? And obviously that came from Pat Cummins as well. I think he made a comment in terms of like, it's probably one of the best tests he got involved. And we don't see a lot of, tests going into 5 days lately. So this was, a good testament to like, test cricket. Amar, anything you would like to add? Day 5?
Yeah, like you're saying, the test went to 5 days, which is brilliant. And also, what an amazing test match. We saw so many things. 19-year-old Sam Constas came in. There were a lot of talk about him. He coming in, and what an innings to start with. Just brilliant. He just lightened up the test match on day 1. And after that, we saw Stephen Smith scoring a century, his comeback. So that was absolutely brilliant to watch. And then we had Bumrah magic. Well, before that, yeah, Bumrah magic, and also Nitish Reddy's century. So how many ups and downs? It was like an amazing test match all 5 days. Absolutely brilliant for both sides. Um, and I would say, like the other day, someone was saying first laugh and the last laugh. That's Australia in this match, isn't it? Started with Sam and then ending with all out India for 155. I think that's what it was. So yeah, absolutely brilliant test match. India's bowling was absolutely brilliant. We could see magical spell from this was probably not just India's, but any of the test matches around. This was an absolutely brilliant spell of bowling from Jasprit Bumrah. So I mean, everywhere, whether you be Australian or Indian or from any other cricketing nation, everyone were in awe of Jasprit Bumrah. But then again, that was in a way they did really well, and Siraj came back as well. This was surprise. Throughout the series that hadn't happened, and it happened this time. So Siraj came back as well. A lot happened, and then yeah, as we were expecting, Indian batting lineup. We were kind of predicting that they might not survive, and it kind of looked like that Australia they just probably thought that we'll just put in the ball in the right areas and Indians will fall, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, there was nothing, I wouldn't say extraordinary, but they just bowled in the right areas. They just capitalized on Indian batsman weaknesses, and good ball here and there, and that's job done. Really simple for them. So yeah, all in all, good test match. Not good for India, but yeah, Australia came up trumps.
Absolutely right. And one of the key positives for Australia is, like someone called out, right? Captain Fantastic, Pat Cummins, since he kind of took over, Australia obviously won the 50-over World Cup. And now obviously, they're on the verge of potentially winning the or retaining the Border Gavaskar Trophy, depending on what happens in the Sydney Test. Maybe a quick word on the Cummins and his tactics, Punk.
Sorry, can you just tell?
A quick word on Pat Cummins and his captaincy in terms of how well he led.
Brilliant, right? And like being a bowler captain, right? You see how he handled Stark. He did not give him long spells compared to what he had done, right? And then Stark was very potent. Jaiswal was lucky at that point of time. It was a brilliant spell the way they opened second innings, right? I felt like Jaiswal was going out anytime. So you could see when Stark had that, and he gave enough break. He knew he had side strain. So the way he rotated his bowlers, he bought in head when he saw and that. See, it's a tactics, right? When we play, and when we know there's a part-time bowler, okay, let's go and hit. We'll get few runs for ourselves, right? And that's what he did. He just played on Pant's mind. He bought in head. What gave them short pitch balls. He was bowling outside off. Pant was very calm, but the instinct takes over, and that's why it's a test match. It's not one day or T20, right? Great players are the ones who can go against their instincts in a test, and that's why Sachin will always be a legend of the game. He showed us something which nobody believes. Matthew Hedden has been talking about the Sydney innings, and everybody has been talking about Sydney. Kohli can never achieve that because Kohli could have got more centuries than Sachin, right? But the way he goes and fishing outside off stump, and he's getting out the same way what Sachin was getting out, cover drive, right? He just took out one of his favorite shots. So if you want to be really good, you have to go against your natural instincts. Just by telling I have to play natural instincts and go ahead, it doesn't make sense. Cummins played against the Indians' mindset. He played a brilliant chess game. He got the right bowlers at the right time and played on the instincts, played on the weaknesses, and also played on their strengths, right? So you're good at pulling. Okay, let me bowl some short pitch dolly balls, He put the fielders. You're good at reverse sweeping. let me put the fielders, reverse sweep me, right?
Mhm.
You see, he got all the batsmen, he got them out with their strengths. It was the Indians who did not understand the game, or they were playing on the ego or whatever. But and just I was talking to Amar just before this. One of the greatest batsmen, AB de Villiers. Everybody agrees, right? Pant or anybody is not better than AB de Villiers. He in Adelaide played 222 balls and just scored 33 runs. On the other side, Fab du Plessis, we have seen them how they play T20 cricket, and he the fastest on one day. They've scored massive runs at a better strike rate than any of our Indian players. He scores like a century for 333 balls, right? They drew that match, then they come to Perth and beat Australia in 2011. So there is an instance where a natural instinct player who plays really good shots go away from the instinct, and they show how you can actually draw a test match to gain an advantage in the next test match. This test match, it was gone and dusted. The day they scored 450 runs, I told that India is not going to win from there. If you see the podcast before this, there was no way India is going to win. Rarely you will get, because the only thing is, if your Indian batting lineup is that strong that they will score 500 or 600 runs. So there was no way India was going to go 600 runs because two or three of the batsmen are already on a decline. So salute to Pat Cummins and salute to their team management, the way they targeted each and every aspect of the batsman weaknesses and their strength, and they bowled accordingly. And this was one of the best bowling Australia has done in the series, frankly speaking. They were really targeting the bowlers. They were a bit unlucky. India would have gone way out if Jaiswal was out in the first few overs, right? They were unlucky, and there was luck on Jaiswal's side, right? So, but he took full advantage of whatever he got, right? What the rest of the Indians did not do, Jaiswal took the advantage and he got it. So, hats off to Pat Cummins, brilliant bowler and brilliant captain as well.
Yeah, I would like to add one point here. What a second choice bowler, Scott Boland.
Mhm.
They have had, yeah, so he came in, he performed really well. And then when Hazelwood came in, he was taken out of the team, came back again, and performed amazingly well. And yeah, I mean, to have that kind of support for a captain is amazing. So yeah, hats off to him.
Yeah. Also, want to call out, right? Maybe a quick thought, right? I'm reading this on the socials, and something I kind of picked up earlier as well on another cast, like in terms of not just his bowling, but also his field settings, right? So when day five, another 10, 15 overs still to like negotiate from in Indian lower order. And then you can see Lyon was bowling from one end, and all of a sudden you see literally all 9 fielders were around the batsman, trying to like put some pressure on him. Unlike, you know, Australia's second innings, where obviously, after that brilliant spell from Bumrah, we had like, someone like Pat Cummins at strike, trying to like, negotiate some of the, attack. And then followed by that is the number 10, 11, where, Lyon and Scott Boland managed to put a good partnership. And from an Indian captaincy standpoint, I haven't seen anything of that sort in terms of like, trying to put some pressure on the lower order and pick that early wicket, which they hasn't done. Maybe things could have been different if they managed to get that early wicket. The target was 200 something rather than 300, and we were able to like start on day 4. So maybe a quick word on maybe Rohit's approach, Amar.
Yes, it really looked like what Punk had mentioned earlier, that he has completely lost interest in Test cricket. Also kind of evident from what happened in this state, this Test match. It looked like Rohit Sharma was kind of, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli was kind of setting up fields and bowling changes. He was kind of egging up everyone. And it kind of looked like that he was in charge rather than Rohit Sharma. So I don't know what the talk was. Maybe he wanted to do it. He wanted to say, okay, I'm going to encourage everyone.
Sure.
But it's not a good sign. Whatever it was, it worked for Indian, bowling attack that time. Bumrah was bowling, Siraj came back, but this was not coming from the captain. This was coming from Virat Kohli. So that was, I don't know, it was for us, it was a bit confusing. Maybe it worked for the players, but not good signs internally, I would say. So it looked like, yeah, Rohit Sharma's lost interest, and it looks like even if you give him, or even if he plays more Test cricket, I mean, I don't think it looked like he has anything left to give to Test cricket. So maybe this is the last match coming up for him. He could have been like before, our last podcast, we were talking about he has to be proactive, which he was not. But they found someone who would be proactive. That was Virat Kohli. So um, we saw him encouraging other players and setting up fields and stuff. Um, Also, in terms of captaincy, I mean, if you still lost interest, then there's nothing much to say that he will be proactive or good or bad bowling changes. But the second thing is about his batting as well. When he was batting, I thought he was kind of going into his shell. He was not rotating the strike at all. But one thing was, it looked like the bowlers were onto him, and he was letting them get onto him. His natural game is to take on the bowlers, um, at least initially with ground shots, maybe rotate the strike. But he was not doing that at all, and eventually he fell, try to play a shot. Um, so it was kind of set for failure there even. So all in all, I would say, it looked like he's lost interest, and he has nothing more to give to Test cricket.
Sure. Yeah, I think you kind of summed up, Rohit's struggles in this series, and obviously, that's evident on the test as well, right? Maybe the positive for us on the day 5 was obviously Jaiswal's innings, his 83. Sumana, anything you want to add on Jaiswal's approach?
He's outstanding. He's the future of Indian cricket and Indian batting in all three formats. He's self-resilient. I think his self-belief is immensely strong. I mean, look at it. 3 ducks after the century, people will just lose the plot. But the first innings and the second innings, he held it together along with Nitesh Reddy. It's unfortunate, that deflection point. Otherwise, he was looking. I mean, I was telling a couple of friends of mine, even after tea, until Pant fell, I said, until these two are there and we go to the last hour and say last hour we are 100 runs for 15 overs left, I think these two would have pushed. So that's the kind of aura Jaiswal has. I really hope that he gets into the Champions Trophy squad. I don't know about the 11 because the 11 looks tough. Shreyas Iyer will come in probably, but I think he's the future. And Sydney Test match, the pitch is again something which he would have enjoyed. Pant scored a century last time he was there. And even in the last hour when Aussies were all over him, they were close by chirping, he wouldn't give up, right? He was trying to go after them and try to hit the ball hard so that they try to hit the body. So I really love his attitude. It was not before the tour. I think during IPL itself, we saw initially when he played the Under-19 World Cup, his strike rate was a big problem. So I thought that I don't know how long he'll last in a limited over capability. But that transformation in an IPL opening game for Rajasthan Royals, after that, there's no looking back. So Jaiswal is the future.
Absolutely. Agree, right? He's done really good for himself, and obviously gave us hope as well. Sorry,
Yes,
Pant,
I
you
would
wanted
like
to
to
add?
add something to this as well, right? When you talked about more about Rohit and the team. So this is a quick thing, as I always do. Ask you guys a question, like reverse psychology thing. So from New Zealand till the Melbourne Test, so there were 7 Test matches, right? 4 in Australia and 3 in India. 7 innings, first innings. How many of them do you think India as a team batting unit crossed 80 overs, or they faced a second new ball? How many innings
None.
do you
I think
think out of the 7?
MCG was the first test, if I'm not wrong. We lasted for
Amar,
more than
what
90
about you?
overs. Yeah.
Yeah, probably one. Yeah, that was the one. Otherwise, I don't think so.
Yes?
It's just once. That's the only
Good.
time, I think, the first time.
So just to add Rohit's thing, your team has not crossed 80 overs in the first innings in the last 7 Test matches.
You said not even once. It's only this.
Was because of the two guys who batted at number 8 and number 9. Yeah. So you can imagine where your team is heading. There should have been something sorted out. I don't know what's happened with this thing. 7 test matches, and you are where we are. Or we are technically there. We are about to lose. We're not even cross the 80 overs if Sundar and Washi and Nitish shouldn't have batted. So just to give you the Indian perspective, right? So that's something which we just wanted to highlight and let everybody know where the Indian team stands currently, and why you need some changes in the batting order, and what Rohit captaincy has been.
Yeah, I mean, it should be now that we are discussing that, it has come up. So, I mean, time and again we have seen and we have discussed that the lower order saves us every single time. So there must be something to do with the top order. And there has to be, even for the first innings score, whenever the top order fails, there's a massive pressure on the rest of the batsmen. So if something has to be done, I think top order has to be resolved as soon as possible.
Absolutely
And
right, sir.
slightly, we also, just to add one more thing, apart from like a batting thing, but this slight on the luck factor as well. Like Akash, we just before we sum up, day 3 and day 4. So India, right, in the entire series, I'll just give you a quick stat which a lot of people wouldn't know. So in 2021, India was slightly luckier than Australia. Okay, in this series, the last 4 test matches, Australia has been slightly luckier. So let me give you stats on what basis that is, right? So, so the total number of false shots created by India was 770, right? So Australia survived 770 false shots compared to India's 612, right? So India created more false shots for Australia, and Prime was, Akashdeep, one of the most unluckiest bowlers I've seen over the last 3 test matches. Right? Australia just created 612. So, and out of the 770, Australia got 67 wickets. India got 66. So
But does that
just to give
say,
you,
is that
it
luck, or
just
does
shows
that say
you.
the no, is that luck, or is that field placements properly, ball shots, and people holding the catches?
No, so like let me talk, and I've talked about this in length. Indian bowlers tend to bowl back of a length because they're brought up in Indian pitches
Mm,
where the ball does not bounce. So back of a length, if you bowl, the ball will hit the wickets.
mm,
There's more chances of leg before wicket, right? They do not change the length when they go to Australian pitches. If you do the same length bowling in the back of a length ball, the ball will fly over you, this thing. So there's more chances for the batsman to leave the ball alone because they are used to that pitches. They know where the ball is going to bounce and move, go above the wicket. So that is one of the reasons why the false shots tally might be slightly, what Amar has asked. So it's
Okay.
more regarding that rather than, they're not nicking the ball. It's more your back of the length. Siraj has done a lot. Akashdeep has done a lot. And I've given the stats in all the 3 test matches, how they've bowled, right? What percentage of ball has gone back of length. So,
I mean, I want to beat this to death, right? But we're in 2025, right? 24, when this test happened. Like, you have stats, you have experience, you have coaches, you have so much data. So, Indian camp should have known what they should do in Australia. And obviously, Siraj played there previously. You have the likes of Virat Kohli, who played, he's traveled to Australia numerous times. Gill played, Pant played. So they should have known, this is what we are supposed to do as a bowling unit. Unfortunate things didn't pan out the way it is. So I don't think that should be, a reason for us not being able to pick, the wickets, someone like Bumrah on the same squad managed to do it. But yeah, I think we spent a decent amount of time trying to review this, but it's what it is. So the series obviously stands at a 2-1 favor in Australia. There's still a lot to play for. Obviously, depending on how India plays in the 5th test. If the test ends up as in a draw, India can still regain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. If not, obviously, Australia will win it for the first time in a decade. And also the WTC comes into play, right? Depending on if Australia wins the series, it's all good. They go into the WTC final. But if India manage to draw the series, then Australia still has to go down to Sri Lanka and try and win a test there. So still a lot at stake the Sydney test. So really quickly, right? Let's look at maybe your playing 11s for the test that's starting tomorrow. So I'm going to start with you first. Any changes you would suggest?
Yeah, I think there will be a couple of changes. Probably they will make Akashdeep replaced by Prasidh Krishna because Prasidh has been sitting on the bench and Akash and there are chatters on social media that Pant might get dropped. So I don't know if they'll bring Gill or Jurel back in, but those will be the only changes I would think they're going to make. I would not be surprised also if they retain the same playing 11, but I think Akashdeep is probably the floater who they will try to get somebody fresh in.
Fair enough. Amar, you're playing 11 for for India.
Oh God, my playing 11. Okay, so my playing 11, I would start with. See, the thing is, it's a very, very interesting situation here. In this series, India won one test, right? And which was that? Who was the captain there? So what stops India from bringing that captain back? There's nothing. There's one test left. Bring him back. It looked like he was the guy who was making changes, bowling changes, very um, tandemly, and it was good, and he was using the bowlers properly. You could say that, and the team also responded. He was, he's a premier bowler, world class bowler, one of the legends to be. So I mean, why not bring him back? I'm also saying this because it looks like maybe Rohit Sharma's this is the last test match he's playing, maybe. But what if he doesn't play? What is India losing here? I don't think India is losing anything here if he's not playing. So if you want to go the route of let's play for the nation and let's make India team win, then that's the call he should be taken. He should be dropped. And if you're saying, okay, he's a good servant of Indian cricket, let's give him one last chance. I would say give him a last chance. Play him a test in Mumbai and let him retire there. So my team, he should not be there. Captaincy should be given to Jasprit Bumrah. Kohli, he did score a century in this series, so let him bat. And like in the last test, in the fourth test, we saw he was kind of excited and he kind of brought the team together. So let him be. He can be that person to do it. Um, Jaiswal has been batting really well. Rahul has been batting really well. So they should be the opening pair. Again, changing back to it, I say don't change the opening. But if I'm taking out Rohit, then I'm going with KL top the order. Bring back Gill. And yeah, rest of the players, I would say I wouldn't change anyone. So Gill and then Pant is there. I wouldn't like social media. Like someone said that there's the news doing rounds that he might be dropped, but I don't see a good point of dropping him. Let him be. He scores runs, but gets out playing a really silly, unwanted shot. But that can be, it's not that he's playing badly. He's taking the wrong decision. That's what is happening. So he's been good as well. The only thing with Pant is do not take his advice on any DRS decisions. So that's one thing. Then we yeah. Then rest of the bowlers should be same. Of course, Bumrah. You have Jaddu, Sundar, and also Akashdeep. I mean, how many times you've talked about that he has been really unlucky. Previously, Steven Smith would just miss his ball, and how many times and LBWs even drop catches. So how many times? But he has been bowling really well, and he can bat a little bit as well. So I would say, yeah, keep him in the team. And he has played all these test matches in this series. So rather than bringing in a new bowler, just keep him. So that would be my playing 11.
Fair enough. So you just want Rohit to be dog, Gill at number 3, and then Bumrah to lead the team. Fair enough.
Yes, exactly.
Punk, your thoughts?
Okay. I would like Rohit to do a Dhoni here, right? What he did in 2014. So if you see 2014 series, right, the first match Dhoni did not play. Kohli really played well. Unfortunately, he lost. It was a very close margin, right? If you see the first match, Dhoni comes back. The match was drawn. He realizes that Kohli is ready to take up captaincy, and he wanted to give Rindaman Shah the chance to play in foreign soil. The only option for Dhoni was to retire, right? He retired for captainship and gave it to Kohli. Tell what will be, but as a captain, Dhoni knew he's giving the right thing. Something similar Rohit needs to do. The series is gone, man. You're not going to achieve anything from you, right? You just give away the captainship to Bumrah. You're not technically retiring as such. Just you can have one game in India whenever the next test matches happen, like a farewell series or something. But give it to Bumrah. Let him take it over from on Sydney, and then that gives an opportunity for the other players to come in. I would like to see Pant dropped as well. You cannot go on doing the same over and over in a test match when there was a chance for you to go to the WTC. So it's good. And see, Jurel has batted well with the England series when nobody was around. In some of the trickiest things, he was one of the guys who's done really well. So he should come back. There always needs to be a competition. The problem with India and Indian superstars is that they take things for granted. I would like to see Pant drop. This is my team, which I'm talking about, right? As you've asked me what you would be your playing 11, not what Gautam Gambhir thinks. I would like to see Pant dropped. Jurel comes in. He's done really well in the India A series, which happened before this. Pant needs to understand that you cannot go on. You're a senior member of the team, right? Jurel comes in. I would like to see Siraj dropped as well. And surprise, Siraj was the guy who actually gave the 450 runs. India created the pressure. Look at his stats in the first innings. 5.3.
Yeah.
You cannot do that in a test match. When Bumrah and you cannot release the pressure. You come see when 450 runs were scored, and I told that India is nowhere going to win this. Why? Because they scored 450. Why? Because one of your bowlers was a weakling. In your first innings, go and look in his Siraj stats in the first inning. He has done pathetic, right? Over the last 7 test matches, I wouldn't like to see Siraj in this test match. Bring in a Prasidh Krishnan. I would keep Akash Deep. At least he's got an economy rate of 3 point. He's been unlucky on the wickets, but at least he's not let the pressure loose. So what happens is any other bowler, when Bumrah comes in or somebody else comes in, they are going to take the wickets. They're not going to wait for a Siraj or another bowler to come in and see what's happening, and if we can score against that bowler. You don't want a weakling in your team. So Siraj drops for me, and I think so they will do that. You get into Prasidh Krishnan or somebody else, give an opportunity to somebody who can actually control the innings and take those wickets as well. So Krishnan has done really well till he got injured. So just to give his stats, he had done well, right? So this would be my changes. And in the batting, I like to give the batting order as well. Start, Rahul has done well, and so Rahul opens with Jaiswal. Gill comes in, and I'm going to back up with my stats as well across from 2022 till today. So these are my first 3. I would like to see a Nitish Reddy on number 4. Kohli drop to 5. And then you get in Jurel, Jatu, and then you get Sundar and somebody else. That would be important. Kohli has to come down to 5 now. He cannot play at number 4 anymore. That also, because you cannot drop Kohli. He's done well, but you also need to put, like a headmaster, what he does. This is a punishment for you to go one down the order to show that you need to respect the team strategy. Or, thanks for the services. We have better players, younger, fitter, who can do much better, who can go on team strategy and play well in England. So I would like to see Kohli down at 5. And then, we have the same. Siraj drops, Akash plays, Prasidh comes in, we have a Sundar, and then we have, Jaddu. If there was an opportunity, I like to bring the younger player as well, the Kotian guy, because he's a much better bowler than Sundar in terms of his spin. And a good batsman as well. So there's an opportunity here to get a Kotian as well. Because of the drifts, he might get more wickets than Sundar on that pitch in Sydney. So, but that would be my wholesale change, right?
Yeah, that's
What the
like a
team thinks is a
3 to 4
different thing, but
changes
this
is
is
what you
my
want, right?
opportunity.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you a quick thing for 2022, just to let everyone know why I'm talking about Rohit retiring. So from 2022, yes, Jaiswal, yeah, he's played 34 innings. He scored 1,766 runs and an average of 55.18. Brilliant. He's got 400s and 10 50s. The next best, Pant. This punt needs to be dropped because of not following the team strategy. But he's done well, Pant as well. He's got like 46.51 as an average for 29 innings. Jadeja, naturally, low order batsman. We have talked about always saving us 37.86, 300s, 550s. Surprise, surprise, it's Gill next. And they've dropped him. He's got like 37.2, which is a brilliant if you see away. And he's got 5 test hundreds as well. And then we have Kohli, still in the mid 30s, 34, and Rohit 30. So Rohit drops
Rohit's like
basically.
in the top 6 then. That's 6.
But you're
He's an
playing in the
opener,
top
but he's
six,
at
man.
number 6. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, that's some
Rohit
really good
drops.
numbers. Right? That kind of sums up, how
Yeah.
things are panning out at the moment. But
I would like, and Rohit gracefully gives away to Bumrah as a test captain,
Mhm.
right? What
Good
Dhoni did,
gesture,
and
yeah.
people talked about this.
Yeah.
And I've always supported what Dhoni did because he knew, and you see that 2014 that defined Kohli's entire career. The 4 test hundreds he scored in Australia that defined Kohli's career. Because of that, Kohli is where he is today. Do something similar, Mr. Rohit, if you can.
Absolutely right. But on a lighter note, something I picked up on this conversation is, obviously I saw some Gautam Gambhir and Sunny G at the same time, from your feedback. But yeah,
No,
fair enough, right?
it's
After
for
that,
Indian cricket, right? So
yeah. No,
you asked my view,
right
I
call,
gave
right?
my
And
view.
obviously, looking at the bigger picture, right? We sort of realize, Rohit really hasn't really done much in the test arena. Obviously, he's a really good white ball player and he still is, and he can probably go on and win the Champions Trophy for us in February, March. But when it comes to test, I think I think you kind of
Just to add you, right? Just to add. So also I want to give you back, right? So when Sachin retired, he retired as a one test match played in India against West Indies, right? Grand. We can have something similar for Rohit as well. Have a nice one day because he's a one day great, right? He's not a test match great. You don't need a test match for retirement. Let's have a one day series, with the best team, Australia or England, and then have a nice one day, retirement. India loses win, but have a nice in the Wankhede, Let him retire there. He's a one day great or a T20 match. Let's do that. Maybe he's already retired from T20, but at least a one day they can do that after Champions Trophy or something, Have a one day series and retire him there. But please, thanks a lot for your services for the test matches.
Wow, you've been too nice. I was more leaning towards maybe a Zimbabwe or Afghanistan or Bangladesh, but yeah, you want to go with the champion. So yeah, fair enough.
I didn't want to pull that much, man.
But yeah, it's all like in a good banter. But obviously, it's what it is, right? That's how things unfolded. So we'll obviously have to make some big goals on Test 5. It starts tomorrow, so let's see how things unfold. But yeah, really.
Doesn't it start now? In the next half an hour or 10 minutes?
No, it's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
It's Thursday.
Tomorrow,
Okay.
11:30.
Friday, Australia, and Thursday night, US and the UK. So yes.
Okay.
But
Dinesh, your team?
My team, like you pointed out, right? So I definitely, want Rohit to sit out. Retirement or no retirement, that's secondary. I want him, obviously I've seen a lot of socials where they say, all these senior folks saying, he's a selfless player. He always puts team ahead of himself. I mean, if so be it, yes, absolutely. Sit out, let Bumrah lead the team. Gill walks in at number 3. Rest of the squad sort of remains the same. The only other change I would see is in the bowlers lineup. As much as Siraj really made a good comeback in the second innings, overall, I think he's overworked. He's really struggling for form and he hasn't really done, what is expected of him. And there's a lot of onus on Bumrah and what a spell and what is so far achieved in the series. But also at the same time, I'm worried for him in terms of how much pressure it's going to put on him for another 3-day or 5-day test. So I definitely want to bring in Harshit Rana in place of Siraj. add some pace and kind of bring that mix and still keep Akashdeep. And like you guys pointed out, like, he's been unfortunate, but he definitely bowled well and he kind of held one end. So hopefully, him and Umrah can open, and then Harshit Rana would be my first change. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm looking for. If it comes down to where they want to add more to their batting, then another option is keep Rohit, but he's definitely not going to open. He should bat at number 6 again, or number 3 between him and Gill. They figure it out. Bring Gill in, drop one of the seamers, potentially Siraj, and Nitish Kumar Reddy could be your third seamer. Probably use his services more. Those are the 2 options they have. But let's see how things unfold. Another piece I've just realized, and I was just looking at the weather as well. There's potential rain for 2 days, so I'm not even sure if it's going to go on for 5 days. So which means, if we look at the big picture, it looks like Australia is going to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy and also kind of play the WTC final as well if rain plays a spoil sport like it did in Brisbane. But yeah, those are my thoughts for Sydney.
Great.
I think it was a good session, and once again, a happy new year to all of you. Hope you have a good 2025. We'll try to bring in a lot more. Obviously, this year there's a lot of cricket coming up. We do have obviously the second test starting between Zimbabwe and Afghanistan. For folks who hasn't followed that match, the first test, it ended up in a draw with 2 double centuries from 2 Afghanistani batsmen. Both managed to score double hundreds. So yeah, there was like 600 runs scored by Afghanistan in their first innings, versus Zimbabwe. They themselves managed to score 500 runs, but yeah, that went draw. And then obviously you have the Pakistan tour of South Africa, where South Africa is leading 1-0. Obviously, they confirmed the spot in the WTC final for July next year. Kudos to Bauma and the team. Thank you again, and we'll probably connect again post the day 1 of the Sydney test. Hope you guys have a good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Cheers. Bye.
Yep.